Let's talk about S3. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. This is a storage service given by AWS, which helps in storing any kind of objects, whether it could be a file, it could be an image, it could be a movie, it could be a PDF document. Anything can be stored into this. In order to understand this service, we need to think in four buckets. First thing is how to actually transfer data into S3 bucket. The second thing that we should understand is once the data is transferred, how do I manage the data? The third thing is how do I protect the data? Once I have the data transferred and it has been managed, how do I protect the data? Let's quickly jump into one demo session to understand this, and we will actually go into further details slowly. Please go into the labs.cloud projects online portal, and then we will get into the basics tab. In that, click on S3 basics. There's a start lab option available. Please click on it. It will take about 10 to 15 seconds to generate an account for you. As you can see, after maybe around 10 to 15 seconds, the credentials would have been generated. Click on show credentials. There is an option to open the console. Please click on it. It will open a console in a separate tab, and copy and paste the username and password. After opening the AWS console, I copied the username and password. Now I do a sign in into that. Once we signed in, we can actually search for S3 bucket and select the buckets or click on the S3 button. There's an option to create bucket here. Please click on it and type the bucket name. In my case, let me type it as my bucket. You can see that if I just type my bucket and say create bucket, you will throw an error. The reason being the my bucket or the bucket name that we actually give should be unique. Just like a website, address has to be unique. Whenever we are creating a bucket, we should make sure that it is not that name is not being taken up by someone else. So to make sure we have a unique bucket name, I just add some literals at the end to make it unique. Or you can actually type with underscore your company name. That will make sure that the bucket name is unique. Now I click on create bucket, and the bucket gets created. Now let's transfer one small file into this. The way to do it is I can click on the bucket, go to upload, and start adding files or folders into this. So once I add this, for example, here I can just click update, so that will upload the file into this bucket. Now this is how we upload the files on a day-to-day basis, but there may be some cases where we need a faster upload to happen. It could be some images that we could be transferring some images which are quite big, or we could be transferring some movies which are very very big, very very large. In that case, we want the transfer to happen at a much faster rate. So what we do, click on this close, go to the bucket part, go to the bucket, and then click on the properties. There is something called transfer acceleration here, so please enable that. It will be disabled by default. So this, if we enable, whenever we transfer large files, they go via specific routes which are faster bandwidth, which are having a specific faster bandwidth. So that's how it helps in faster uploads of files. So this is one property that we can enable in S3. There are a lot of properties there. We will actually talk about that as we progress in future courses. The second thing that we can do is we spoke about the classes, right? So let me go back to the buckets, and there are objects here. You can see here the default class, storage class, that gets assigned is standard. These classes are nothing but the different categories. For example, assume you're booking a ticket in an aircraft. You can book a standard or an economy or a business class, right? Something similar you have here in terms of classes. So if you want to change the class, storage class, from something like a standard, which is default for all the objects that you store, you need to select this and go to actions and select edit storage classes. There you have different options that are available. We will go through each of this and when to use down the line. For now, we will just understand how to change the storage class. So it is very simple. Suppose I want to change it to intelligent tiring or a standard IA. I just click on it and do a save change. Now you can see, if you go back to that particular object, let me close this here. If you look at this particular object, the object has changed from standard to standard infrequent access. Now, let's understand one last property of the buckets. That is, if I go into the buckets and get into there, we have something called bucket versioning. So, what it will do is it will give each bucket a Git kind of functionality. So, for example, if I enable this and then say save changes, now what happens if I go to that bucket, same bucket, and let me go here. There is one object already uploaded. So, let me upload the same object again. So let me add this and say upload. So as you can see here, when we uploaded this, it will have the versions enabled here. So this was the first version and then we uploaded again. So there was no change there. So this is the second version. So as we keep adding more and more of the same files, if there are any changes, they get recorded, and we can easily revert back or we can easily delete the earlier versions and maintain the latest version. That is up to us. So there are few more features that we haven't discussed. For example, in data transfer we discussed only transfer acceleration and the classes. In data management and in protection we discussed about versioning. There is a something called multi-part upload, and in data management there are something called life cycles and intelligent tiering that we need to discuss. We'll do that down the line. Similarly, in protection there is MFA delete, cross-region replication, S3 object lock, encryption, and in advanced feature, we have static website, event notification, pre-signed URL, and CORS. So we will actually delve deeper into it in future courses. Hope this basic introduction was helpful for you. Let's continue with the next sessions.